Impromptu speaking. Is it important? Hmm, good question. Just imagine this. If you were a company director and you were coming out from an airport after a victorious win for your company, and there's a set of people running in, journalists. Oh my god. They have cameras, they have mics, and all of a sudden they point it at you and say, "Hi, mister, you won this award. Can you tell us something?" Now, at this moment, can you say, "Oh, yes, I am the director of this company. Let me get 30 minutes. I'll quickly chat GPT a speech and I'll give you." And now what does this do? It degrades your credibility, it degrades your image, and it doesn't create a good environment for you. This is where I want you to think fast, speak smart, and master the art of impromptu speaking. Now, the question is it important for everyone? Because you might say, "I don't want to be a company director." Now, just as you are a student right now, just imagine there's a presentation to be given and your friend is supposed to do it, and all of a sudden he falls ill. Now, what can you do? The class teacher comes and says, "Hi, so and so has fallen ill. I want you to do the presentation." And at that time, can you back out? Can you? Really? I don't think so. Now, this is where being able to speak on the spot is going to help you not only when you're schooling, but when you grow up into the career ladder. All of a sudden, there might be a pitch that your other friend was supposed to do, or other colleague was supposed to do, or maybe the boss was supposed to do, and all of a sudden, they've met an accident. There's nothing you can do. You can't postpone this pitch. You manage to get it after so much of difficulty. Now you have to step up. You have to muster the courage and you have to do it. Or maybe your boss says at a farewell of one of your colleagues, "Hi, Achinta, can you tell something about your colleague? You worked with him for 10 years now." And at that time, can you say, "Ani, I can't do." No, it's not going to help you progress in your career ladder. Now, what is impromptu speaking? Now, it's a very simple thing. It's a message that you give in the impromptu speaking, or maybe we call it table topics in Toastmasters. It's a message. So, what does the message have? The message has what to say. Now, what to say is the content part of it, the words, the 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 whole material of it, what you're going to say in that short period of time. Now, in Toastmasters, it's 2 minutes. So, what is the content that you are planning to say in that 2 minutes? And the other part is how to say it, basically the delivery. Now, when it comes to delivery, verbal, non-verbal, and even visual. Visual as in if you have visual aids, like today I have a slide, that is a visual part. Now, body language, vocal variation, that is the non-verbal part. And the verbal part, of course, that covers the content, but the non-verbal and the imagery supports that content. Now, that is how you deliver the content with this said framework. Now, a message is what? Two things: what to say and how to say. Just two things. Now, I want you to go to the next slide and see that there is a life cycle in impromptu speaking. Now, the first part is when you receive the topic. When you receive the topic, it's very important you listen attentively. When you listen and when you hear the topic, try to grab the meaning of it. because it's very important you get a clear understanding of the given topic. Now, the first part is to receive the topic. Next up is the path selection, how you are going to go ahead with the table topic, because you can't ask for a new topic. It's only one topic you're not going to get. And when you get that topic, you have to decide in a fraction of a second whether you're going to select what path. I'll tell you three ways that you can choose how to go about delivering and selecting the path of it. Next up is the points. What are the points that you are going to give in terms of this speech? How are you going to start? How are you going to have the body of it? And how are you going to give the conclusion of it? That is what it is mentioned in this. And finally, how are you going to end it? Because the ending is so very important in a table topic. How are you going to end it? Next up is basically the content, or how you are going to go with the path selection. First way is you can go with the topic. You can align your thoughts and your words aligned with the topic, and you agree with the topic. For an example, let's say you get the topic match made in heaven. Now, as kids, this might not be a real easy topic or a bit uncomfortable, but you can talk about how your mother and father are a match made in heaven. You can even talk about how red rice and sambal is a match made in heaven. You go with the topic. Next up is you go against the topic. Simple, match made in heaven. How can there be a match made in heaven when there's two different cultures coming together and it's always going to create issues? You go ahead with against the topic. Then the final way is you go flip the topic. When you flip the topic, one thing specially happens that is going to create some additional attention for you, because everyone might be going with the topic against the topic, and it might not create that much of a attention for them. But when you go and flip the topic, you create yourself a specialized attention. Now, this is something good that you have to consider. Now, when you flip the topic, it's going to create attention. Now, how are you going to flip match made in heaven? Now, you can talk about how a wax match in a matchbox is uniquely a match made in heaven, because the dynamite and the wax match itself is bonded together, and it brings out the best in each other. They go till death do us apart, literally and figuratively. And what? There are some matches that you have to strike more than once to get it to light. That's probably an arranged marriage. But there are few with just one strike, the match bursts into flames and starts. Now that probably is a love marriage. And there are some matches when you strike it, the dynamite goes flying. Which is that? Now that, my friends, is probably a divorce. Likewise, you can flip it and give a bit more hump as well as get some more attention. Now the next step is the delivery. When you are delivering, there are things that you as the presenter has to consider. Now the first thing is you have about 20 seconds prep time. Don't rush into the topic. Listen to the topic and digest the topic. At that time, always think where you're going to go with it. Are you going to go with the topic, against the topic, or flip the topic? And think of the material you're going to use. Now, next up is the opening. You have to give a captivating or attention grabbing opening with the topic you have. But never, you should never repeat the topic, because if you repeat the topic, it goes as you're uncomfortable and trying to buy time. Now, one way you can do is, if you have a story, you can start with a story. Or maybe you have some questions for the audience. If you aren't really sure how to go about it, this is one way that I use. I quickly flip it back onto the audience and get something from the audience, where I have basically taken some more time to think, and based on the audience's reception or the audience's answers, I can basically make a path forward. Now, when you're structuring it next, you have to think of basically like it's like football. You have to work with couple of passes or couple of points, maximum 3 points. Don't have more than 3 points, because you only have 2 minutes. You have to make sure the points that you deliver are less, maybe more than one, but never more than 3. 1 to 2 points that you are going to say in that topic. Now, match made in heaven, you're going with the topic, so you talk about how your mother and father are match made in heaven. Then you talk about how red rice and sambal is a match made in heaven. Likewise, 2 things, but don't go overboard with 4 5 things. When you say that example, give it a bit more elaboration. How you like the red rice and sambal? Do you like the sambal spicy with the red rice? Talk about it like that. Then the next thing is, you set it up for the ending, because the ending is very important. You set it up just like in football. You pass it right before you strike it to the goal. You set it up. You set up the pass, the correct pass. That is, we call it set up the goal. You set it up so that you can finish it. Next up is, you finish on a high. Usually you have a call to action, and if you can, always try to connect it with the topic that was given. Now, this is the time that you try to say the topic, because you are trying to take it full circle. You come back to the topic and you say, that's why I believe my mom and my dad is a match made in heaven. Likewise, you come and end it with the topic, or you have a call to action. I believe that is why it's a match made in heaven, and I hope you find your match made in heaven. Now, before we end, I want to give you some tips and tricks. Now, the first tip I have is to have a story bank. Now, what is a story bank? Because each table topic usually follows a pattern. If you have some topics for each patterns, you will find it's easy to go through the table topics. Especially if you're doing competitions, it's a must that you have stories that are aligned with the major themes: hardships, growing up, victory, defeat, never giving up. You always have some stories in your life that you can match to these basic topics. Likewise, have some stories in the back of your head. Next thing is to manage body language. Now, managing body language is important, because it's really hard when you're on the fly making the story to have body language. Now, this is where it's important that you have certain body languages already inbuilt. Certain things, when you say it, you naturally it comes out. Or just play a game of charades. Next up is, you never panic if you don't get the topic or you don't understand the topic, because you can always flip it, and if you can't even flip it, you can just ramble on something that you understood with that topic. It's not a problem. As long as you have an opening, body, and a conclusion, and it's packaged right, you can still manage to give a good fight. Next is adding vocal variation. Again, it's a hard thing to do because it's on the fly. So try to feel certain words. Now, if I said feel certain words, it's F double E L. But when I said feel certain words, it's F double E and another double E and a L. So feel certain words so that the vocal variation comes in naturally. And finally, take on more table topics. The more table topics you have taken up, the easier it will be, the comfortable, the more comfortable you will be on stage itself. With that said, I just told you how to say it as well as what to say in a table topic. And that wraps it up for this session of Mastering Impromptu Speaking. And I thank Slide Carnival for the great slide templates that they provide. Thank you.